Hello, I'm Divya A, Assistant Professor, ECE, AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mangalore. So today I will be starting with Module 5, Optical Networks. In this module, we'll be learning about optical network evolution and concepts. Next, we'll move on with optical networking terminology, optical network node and switching elements, wavelength division multiplexed networks, public telecommunication network overview. An optical fiber network. It is commonly referred to as an optical network. So it is a telecommunication network with optical fiber as the primary transmission medium. So these networks are designed in such a way that it makes full use of the unique attributes of the optical fibers. So why optical network is needed? Due to the rapid growth of internet and the World Wide Web, the telecommunication industry has undergone a lot of technological changes. So with the implementation of more bandwidth intensive communication applications, the requirement for higher capacity network capability has increased. So optical networking technology and techniques have therefore evolved in order to meet this growing demands. So the main contributing factors leading to the evolution of optical network are network structure or configuration, the switching speed, the optical device enabling technologies. So based on the network structure or configuration, the switching speed and the optical device enabling technologies, the optical fiber network can be divided into three deployment stages or generation. So the synchronous digital hierarchy or synchronous optical network based point-to-point approaches of the 1990s come under the first generation. So they are in the process of being upgraded with wavelength rooted networking technologies. So the second generation of optical fiber network utilize wavelength routing techniques. These optical networks are currently static. That is, the allocated resources carrying the traffic cannot be reassigned automatically once the transmission has failed to reach a destination. Hence, these networks are largely not reconfigurable. Therefore, dense wavelength division multiplexing technology with individual wavelength links operating at transmission rates up to 40 gigabits per second are being deployed. The third generation of optical fiber network is expected to exhibit fast and reconfigurable network features by overcoming the existing static network architectures. So this can be achieved using enhanced optical switching techniques. So the three modes of optical switching which can be used to increase the operational speed and produce reconfigurable networks are circuit switching, packet switching and burst switching. So in optical circuit switching, a path is set up between the source and destination before the transmission can take place, and then after successful transmission of the entire message, the path is removed. The next is the optical packet switching. In this, the message is broken into small units or packets, and each packet is sent on an established path. So the packet also contains control and addressing information regarding the destination. In optical burst switching, a message is transmitted in data bursts on the established path, while separate bursts of information are sent containing the control data. So optical burst switching is a technique which lies between optical circuit switching and optical packet switching. So optical packet switching offers higher utilization of resources as compared with moderate and poor utilization of resources obtained with optical burst switching and optical circuit switching respectively. So higher transmission rates up to 160 gigabits per second are achieved using optical packet switching. But in this case, the network architectures are more complex. So here the figure shows the structure of a simple optical network. So we can see the optical nodes and the logical links and optical fiber, that is the physical link. So optical network, it consists of optical nodes which are interconnected with optical fiber links. So an optical node, it is a multifunctional element which basically acts as a transceiver unit capable of receiving, transmitting and processing the optical signal. So optical fibers, they provide point-to-point physical connections between network nodes. The point-to-point fiber links can be used to establish logic links. So these optical fibers, they provide point-to-point physical connections between network nodes, which is used to establish logical links where the destination node can be reached by traveling through one or more intermediate nodes in a single or multiple hops. For an uninterrupted optical signal to reach a destination node using multiple hops, each channel is assigned a specific signal wavelength from source to the destination. A signal carried on a dedicated wavelength from source to destination node is known as light path. So the data can be sent over these light paths once the connections are set up. A controlling mechanism is also required to authenticate the entire data transportation between each transmitting and receiving node. So based upon this optical network scenario, the fundamentals can be divided into three broad areas, that is optical networking terminology, the functions and types of optical network node and switching elements. Then wavelength division multiplexed optical network. The network structure formed due to the interconnecting patterns is known as topology. So these are classified as bus, ring, star and mesh structure. So here the circles represent the interconnected nodes. So first of all, in the bus topology, the data circulates bidirectionally. Data is input and removed from the optical fiber bus via 4-port couplers located at the node. In ring configuration, the data usually circulates unidirectionally, being looped through the nodes at each coupling point, and hence it is repeatedly regenerated in phase and amplitude. An optical star coupler forms a central hub to the network, which may be either active or passive. So in passive operation, the star coupler at the hub splits the data in terms of power so that the signal is transmitted to all nodes. With an active hub, the data is split in an optoelectronic star coupler which carries out both optical to electrical and electrical to optical conversion, and therefore this process does not contribute to the overall network losses. And the ring and the star topologies are combined in the mesh configuration to provide interconnection among the network nodes. So it is called as full mesh when each network node is interconnected with all nodes in the network. Therefore, the full mesh configuration provides more interconnectivity than the other three topologies. Finally, optical networks can be implemented either using a single or a combination of topologies. So the ultimate goal of the network structure is to produce a network that can be physically and operationally interconnected and offers a large network capacity while also ensuring network protection and survivability. Therefore, a major functionality of the optical network physical layer is to provide appropriate routing and switching strategies within optical multiplexed networks. So there are two networking modes in which a transmission path can be established. They are connection oriented or connection less. So in a connection oriented network, an end-to-end connection setup referred to as handshaking is performed before the transmission takes place. So they employ a bidirectional communication environment to initiate a connection so that both source and destination can communicate with each other. Once the path is determined, all the information and data are sent to and from the destination using the established connection. So in a connectionless networking mode, there is no dedicated end-to-end connection, and therefore no explicit connection setup is performed before the actual data transmission. So here information is transmitted in one direction without confirming the presence or readiness of the destination to receive the information. So in such networks, both the addressing information and the data are organized in small blocks known as packets, where each packet is assigned a unique number and sent in a sequence such that the destination node can reassemble them to construct the complete message. So switching can be achieved in different modes. So the two primary modes are circuit switching and packet switching or cell switching. So in circuit switching, an end-to-end circuit is required to be set up before establishing a connection in the circuit switched mode. So all the necessary network resources are dedicated for the particular transmission to take place, so during which no other transmission can access these resources. So such transmissions are continuous and hence arrive in real time. Once the transmission is complete, the circuit is terminated and resources become available to other users. The circuit switching mode can be characterized as continuous, selective and temporary. So circuit switching is utilized in connection oriented networks. In packet or cell switching mode, a store and forward strategy is used, where incoming messages are forwarded to their corresponding destinations. To send or receive a complete message in a single block requires a buffering stage where information can be gathered before it is sent to the destination, or messages can be sent in small blocks which do not require buffering stages. Hence, the message is divided into packets which comprise variable length blocks of data with the upper bound limit, or a cell which incorporates a fixed length of block data. So packets or cells from many different sources are statistically multiplexed and sent on the destinations. So in statistical multiplexing, a fixed bandwidth communication channel is divided into several variable channels, and the desired or requested bandwidth is allocated to each end user. So both packet and cell switching are applied in connection oriented networks. Packet switching is employed in connectionless networks. So next, coming to virtual circuits. A virtual circuit is a series of logical connections between the sending and receiving devices. So it may consist of several different routes, and the routes can change at any time. So when the connections are set up in advance based on expected traffic patterns, these are termed as provisional virtual circuits. In a switch to networks, where connections can be set up on demand and released After the data exchange is complete, such connections are known as switched virtual circuits. So network routing. So here routing, it refers to the process where a node finds one or more paths to reach the possible destination in a network. So in this process, control and data processing functions are performed to identify the route and to handle the data. A simple routing process known as control plane comprises three stages, which are neighbor discovery, topology discovery, path selection. So neighbor discovery is the first step where the nodes in a network discover the identity of their immediate neighbors and their connections to the neighboring nodes. Topology discovery is the process by which a node discovers all other nodes in the network and how they are connected to each other. So once the network topology is known, paths from a source to a destination can be determined using path computation algorithms or routing protocols. So now what is meant by a protocol? A protocol is a set of standard rules for data representation, signaling, authentication and error detection that is required to send information over a communication channel. The control plane therefore provides the reachability information throughout the network. This information is consolidated in a table called as a forwarding table, which is present at each node, which contains the identity or the address of the next node and the outgoing interface to forward packets addressed to each destination. So in order to handle the data more efficiently, it requires an additional procedure known as the data plane, which allows an optical node to forward the incoming packets towards their destination by using the information contained in a forwarding table. So this operation involves examining the destination address of the packets, searching the forwarding table to determine the next hop and the corresponding outgoing interface, and then forwarding the packets on this next hop. So modularity. Modularity defines the characteristics of a network which allows the addition or reduction of networking nodes in a modular fashion. So scalability is the property of a network which enables it to progressively accommodate a large number of nodes and end user systems without incurring excessive overheads. So scalability can be achieved in several different ways, such as by employing a routing hierarchy or by performing route aggregation. So both these techniques help contain the size of the routing databases. So another common technique for achieving scalability is to reduce the number of routing updates using threshold schemes. So optical network node and switching element. So first of all, we'll be speaking about the optical node. So an optical node, it is considered as an multifunctional element. That is, it sends, receives and resends or redirects optical signal to its neighboring connected nodes. So an optical node can also function as router, directing an input signal wavelength to a specified output port. So a router, it essentially comprises optical couplers where the desired signal from an incoming multiplexed signal can be isolated and then directed or routed to output port. Hence, it is commonly referred to as wavelength router. So, it is also possible to change the wavelength of the signal before sending it to the specified output port. So, for this purpose, it is also called as wavelength converting router. And since the device is used to switch the wavelength by changing it to the compliant signal wavelength, it is also known as wavelength routing switch or simply an optical switch. The four different functions of an optical router are shown here. So a 1:2 wavelength demultiplexer is shown here in figure A. Here the optical signal present at input port 1 containing two signal wavelengths are split and routed at 2 and 3. A 3-port wavelength multiplexer combining two wavelengths, it is shown here. It is shown here in this figure B. An optical add drop multiplexer, which also comprises a wavelength add drop device, is shown in this figure. So when an incoming multiplexed signal comprising three wavelengths is partially demultiplexed by dropping lambda 1 signal at this intermediate port 2 and further adding another wavelength lambda 4 at the intermediate port 3, which is then multiplexed with the transmitted signal wavelength, so that the combined signal leaving port 4 contains lambda 2, lambda 3, lambda 4. So here incoming is lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 and the dropped wavelength here is lambda 1. So what is getting transmitted is lambda 2 and lambda 3, and here lambda 4 is getting added here. So at the output it has to be lambda 2, lambda 3 and lambda 4. Please note the mistake what is there here. It is not lambda 1, it is lambda 2, lambda 3 and lambda 4. So devices which are configured to drop a particular wavelength and add a particular wavelength, they are also known as fixed OADM. OADM refers to optical add drop multiplexer. So in figure D here it shows a simple 2x2, that is 2 input 2 output optical switch. The two optically multiplexed signals, that is lambda 1, lambda 2, at one input, and lambda 3 and lambda 4 are present at another input port. So at the output ports, the wavelengths are required to be switched. That is, we want to get here lambda 1 and lambda 3 as output at one port, and lambda 2 and lambda 4 as the output at another port. So a combination of an OADM and an optical switch producing a reconfigurable optical add-drop multiplexer is shown here in this figure. So this device can drop one or a desired number of wavelengths after demultiplexing a wavelength, multiplexed signal, and similarly it can also add a new signal of single or more wavelength channels through an optical switch. Finally, the multiplexer unit brings together all the wavelengths channel to produce a combined wavelength multiplexed output signal. So complex mesh topology requires an additional element to provide a means of cross-network interconnection with the added features of an ROADM. So this additional element is an optical cross connect, which has the capability of switching the connection between two interfaced points. So block schematic of OXC, it is provided here in this figure. A large number of wavelength signals can be demultiplexed at the input port of the OXC, and then these are internally connected to the desired output ports, where the different wavelength signals are multiplexed for onward transmission. So OXC comprises an N-into-N optical switching fabric which can provide interconnections between network nodes. An OXC possessing wavelength conversion, so as it is shown there, can switch different wavelength signals, and therefore it is known as wavelength interchangeable cross connect. So in addition, an OXC facilitating optoelectronic conversions is often referred to as an opaque OXC, whereas one incorporating all optical wavelength converters is known as an transparent OXC. The N-into-N optical switching fabric in an OXC facilitates either physical or logical interconnections. So physical interconnections, that is shown here in this figure B. In this case, optical fibers are switched and connected to the desired networking node. So logical wavelength interconnection features that are shown here in this figure. In this case, multiple wavelength signals can be routed to their destinations either individually or in a group of different wavelength signals. So the various types of logical interconnection and physical interconnection can also be combined together in a multi-layer structure. So it is referred to as multi-granular optical cross connect. So finally, the wavelength division multiplexed networks. So optical fiber networks using wavelength division multiplexing techniques can be classified as broadcast and select network and wavelength routing network. So a broadcast and select network strategy based on a star coupler is shown here in this figure. Here the optical transmission is broadcast to all other nodes using fixed transmitters. So it is broadcast using fixed transmitter, and there is a tunable receiver at the destination node. This will extract only the desired signal from the entire group of wavelength multiplexed transmitter signals. So here all the transmissions are broadcast to all network nodes, and hence most of the transmitted power is depleted on the receiver which do not use it. So in wavelength routing, instead of distributing the message over the entire network, the signal is routed to the specific destination through either a single node or using multiple nodes. So in this figure we can see the concept of wavelength routing. So using 3 wavelengths, any network node can transmit or receive a signal from another node within a network. So this is known as routing and wavelength assignment. Now for example, node A can transmit to node B using wavelength lambda 1, and it can simultaneously receive from node B using wavelength lambda 2 only when the signal is routed through node E. So to simplify such routing and wavelength assignment, a virtual topology is generally used, where only the enabled wavelengths are shown here in the figure. So we can note that this node C and E have no physical connection. As we can notice here, C and E, they do not have any physical connection, but both communicate via the virtual connection that is set up. So both broadcast and select and wavelength routing networks can be further classified into single hop or multi-hop. So both this, that is the broadcast and select and wavelength routing networks, they can be further classified into single hop or multiple hop. So single hop networks allow direct communication between any two nodes, and the data remains entirely in the optical domain until it reaches its destination. In a multi-hop network, a transmission may take place through intermediate nodes before reaching its destination. So at each intermediate node, the data can be switched electronically to the next possible node, and it is then retransmitted as an optical signal. So this process is inefficient, but it is required if there is no common wavelength path between two nodes in order to establish a direct connection. So next we have is the public telecommunication network. So the telecommunication network providing services in the public domain is known as the public telecommunication network, where the service providers offer a variety of services for transmission of voice, data, and video. So optical public telecommunication network, which is shown here in the figure, so it can be divided into three tiers. So that is, first we have is the long haul, second is metropolitan, and third is access network. So this long haul network, also known as the core or backbone network, it provides national or global coverage, that is over thousands of kilometers. So these connect mainly many metropolitan networks within a country or interconnect together several country-wide long-haul networks. So interconnection between optical nodes, it is accomplished by means of optoelectrical conversion or optical switches employing OXC. At the next lower level is the metropolitan area network, also called metro or backhaul network. So these networks offer a multi-service platform and may be confined to tens of kilometers. They are largely implemented using ring topology. Interconnection between optical nodes are achieved using OADM, while large metro networks, they incorporate OXC. Next, the lowest level is the local access network, so which ranges from a few hundreds of meters to 20 kilometers or so. It provides the initial interface to the telecommunication network for residential and business customers. So these networks can be configured based on bus, star, ring topologies or fiber access network. So this fiber access network is shown here in this figure. So in this configuration, the users are connected to a branching node, which is known as a remote node, which interconnects the users with the local office or exchange. So in order to establish useful communication among different network elements of the same or other networks, it is necessary to employ certain physical network structures, transmission types, rules, and protocols, which make networking implementation more straightforward and also allow the optical network to be upgraded with new developments and to follow improved service trends. So for this topic, I have referred Optical Fiber Communication Principles and Practice, John M. Senior. Thank you.